how's it going, everyone? So we have this EBZ8500. I don't think it's an 8550. It's my personal machine, and a couple weeks ago I noticed a problem. I figured I'd fix it before fall. Unfortunately, it's the beginning of fall. The leaves haven't quite started falling, but they will be here shortly, so this needs to get up and running. The problem is this. I'm not going to show it to you, but more or less it will start. As soon as you give it any type of throttle, it will die. I know what you're thinking. You know, it's plugged in the exhaust or it needs a carb work or something, but I found something else that kind of tells me otherwise. I don't know if you can tell. Line's leaking. Now, it very well still could need to have a carburetor cleaning. I don't think so, because I use this fairly routinely, and I use non-ethanol fuels, so I don't think it's the problem. But yet again, still could be. Now, this is the return line, so there's that. The other line seems to be pretty good. This one, though, not so much. I can physically see it cracked. So that's not usually a healthy fuel line. Might just, there we go. Yeah, that one wasn't too happy there. So I'm just kind of looking inside the tank and seeing if I can find anything, and everything seems to be fine with this line. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. Now we have that one out. Let me see if I do have enough line for both, because it would be when it comes to fuel line, usually if one is starting to go, the other one isn't gonna just be good. You're probably gonna have to replace both, unless they're different types of line. This one actually looks to be the same line, so let's do the return for, oh no, let's just take it off. We know which one's the return. Now for this one, I'm actually gonna pull it through here. I think I just broke it. Yeah, I did. Well, like I said, that line wasn't necessarily the greatest to begin with, so glad that we're doing this. So we have two sections of line here. One is a little bit longer than the other, so we'll use that one for the fuel line. So we need to figure out how long this needs to be. So this doesn't have to be super long, it just has to return it, but you do want to have like an inch or two in the tank. To make it easier on us, I cut a little notch in there. Make it easier on me, I'm going to move you out of the way. There we go. That grommet is kind of loose, but it can be when you are doing just one of them at a time. So now we have that one. Do the other side. Same thing, it's notched. Yeah, I don't really like that. I don't know if the line is just not thick enough. Let me see if I have thicker line. I was able to find significantly thicker line. So let's take this off. And see if the inner diameter is going to be okay for this. Oh yeah, that's fine. Perfect. So now we have much better line. The reason why it needs to be thicker is it needs to have some type of pressure against the grommet here. Or if you just have a tank, then you just put it against the tank. But sometimes a tank will just have a hole. So now we need to do the same thing to the other side. Replacing fuel line really doesn't take all that much time. Shove that on through. Oh yeah, that's a lot better already. Now, we need to grab the fuel line we have going in here right now. Needle nose pliers, your friend when it comes to this. Now, I probably should be replacing the grommet, but it feels pretty decent, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. So now, I'm going to square this for fuel filter right now. Might not fit. I do have another one, but I don't really like using them. Here we go. Just really shove it on there. Now, we need to have the perfect amount of line. Backpack blowers, not nearly as important because generally you're weaving them on your backpack or your back, so it doesn't have to be like 100%, but it needs to be enough to kind of at least go 3/4 of the way in the tank, because it will move. If this is a handheld one, then that's going to be even more important to get the right length. So handheld ones do have a tendency of going into much different of angles. Right now I'm just kind of moving it where I want it to be. Okay. We could stand to lose a little bit. There we go. Now, let's see where we need to cut it. We're going to have a little bit extra. That's fine. And we just shove it onto the carb. This is not the easy part. This barb is a lot thicker than the return. There we go. A little force. Now I need to mix up some fuel, so I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. So in here is a mixture of like 45-48 to 1. I go a little thick, not much. But question for you. I live in a coastal state, so I'm able to get non-ethanol fuel, at least that's what I'm told, pretty easily because I do live in a coastal state. I mainly think because I live in an area that gets a lot of water in general, but I don't know. Not a gas expert. Which brings me to the question I have for anyone who is. Is that the reason why I'm able to find ethanol at a pump fuel? Or at the pump? Or is there a different reason why? Leave your opinion in the comments below. Okay, now we have that done. Let's go ahead. I'll probably fill it up a good healthy amount. Like I said, we are going to go to fall, or entering fall now. Don't know when you're watching this or when they have it uploaded, but we are weeks away from leaf blowing being a routine for me. Anyway, moving on. Let us put this cap on and no leaks. Everything seems to be fine. Now, I say I'm going to put you down and we'll give it a pull. Now, I'll tell you later. Understand that we didn't see the problem, but literally the problem is I can get started, but as soon as I gave it any throttle whatsoever, it would die. Now it's cold, which is normal for that to happen, but it would do that no matter what, and sometimes it wouldn't even go through the process of warming up. It would just die beforehand. Like it just wouldn't stay running. Sometimes it could warm up, but pretty rare. Well, that didn't fix it at all now, did it? Well, I was hoping that would fix it. I guess we might have carburetor issues. The more I work on this thing or think about it, the more I'm thinking it's not. It very well still could be, don't get me wrong. But usually, if you add a little bit of choke, it'll make things run a lot better. And I just tried it off camera, doing that exact same thing, and did not make it better at all. In fact, it probably kind of made it worse. So, I'm thinking we might have a blocked exhaust port, maybe. So, I already checked the air filter. The air filter's fine. This thing sees use, but not like that much use. It sees multiple hours of week in the fall time, but throughout the summer, maybe an hour, if that. It's mainly just to kind of blow off the leaves and junk from my driveway. So, not exactly a whole lot. Yeah, another thing that's kind of making me question about that is that it was pumping out a lot of blue smoke. That usually means it's rich. Or there's excess oil and fuel somewhere. Come on. Okay. Come on now, of course. Why would this work? Apparently my flashlight decided to take a dump on me. So, guess we could just tip it over on its side. Take a look. So far, the muffler at least isn't very hot. Got a little water in there. Everything is pretty clean, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, now the exhaust port is not having a problem. It seems to be a lot of fuel though. This carburetor is what they consider non-adjustable. So right now I'm just going to look and see if everything's nice and tight. Something we could check also is a spark plug to see if it's super carboned up. Very well could be the fact that it's just not combusting correctly. It's pretty rare, but leave it to my machine to be the one that actually needs a new spark plug. The one and only machine ever. I'm going to require a wrench. The air filter cover is a little bit too big for me to get an impact around there. It's not even hot. Thought it would be. Seems like there's water in there. It's not like great, but it's not like horrendous either. I don't know why there would be water in there. It's summertime. Let's see. Because it doesn't really smell like fuel. Nothing's shaky. Put the plug back in and see if it sparks. It's a very weak spark. Granted, it is kind of dirty right there. You're not going to see this, but I just take my word for it, I suppose. Didn't help much at all. Might just have a worn out plug, or maybe a bad coil. So I don't like this one bit, but this is a cheap aftermarket plug that I found in the carburetor kit that would fit this. Let's see if it's any different. Not really. Not really at all. Let's put it in. Give it a pull. See what happens. It might be a little hard to start, but hopefully not. You know what would help if I put the muffler back on? The muffler is important for two reasons. One, I don't feel like going to def today, and two cycles kind of need the back pressure or the muffler to kind of help it run. Kind of weird, but a lot of what you're seeing isn't actually smoke, it's water. I'm able to run outside for like 3-4 minutes off camera and see if it helps it clears up. Help it clear it up. There we go. Seems to be doing fine. So I think that's exactly what happened. I think somehow it was idling a little high. It was idling a little low, and then I turned it up while off camera, and then I think I turned it up too high, so I just put it back. Anyway, somehow water got in there. I don't know how. I mean, the tank doesn't have any water, so that's weird. Not really sure. It did rain, but it was in the shed. Maybe my shed has a leak. Don't know. But all I can say is that was full of water, and when I was looking inside the cylinder, there was definitely a little bit of water. So somehow it sucked up water, and after sucking up water, it caused that. Or something that may happen in the future, there's a diaphragm in there, in the carburetor, and it could be getting hard. And with me not using it for a while, because it was starting to leak, and kind of stopped working, maybe the diaphragm just kind of sat there with the old fuel or no fuel and kind of got stuck in one position, and just getting it moist again with fuel kind of loosened it up. Problem when that happens, it's going to continue to happen. You might want to replace it. So if this continues, your next stage or step is going to be to rebuild the carb or buy a new carb. These are pretty cheap if you get the aftermarket ones. If you do get the aftermarket ones, so make sure it's adjustable. There is a small adjustment on top. You need a very small screwdriver. You might have seen me adjust a little bit earlier. But that's it. There's really not much more of adjusting you can do besides drilling out the jet. And that is a risky proposition for a motor of this size, because it really does need a very fine-tuned amount of fuel. Of hair more is going to be at the very least burning ridge and causing a lot of blue smoke, carboning up the exhaust, maybe having problems with your rings later. It's not pretty. So, not exactly the best idea for that, but you can do it. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave you at that. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at SmallOrange101. If you have any questions about this or think I missed a step, definitely leave a comment below. But I think it's good to go. I'll give you... This video is not going to be published for quite a while, I'm assuming, so later, probably around here, I'll give you a little recap of its condition and see if I put a new carb on it or not. But I'm going to use it for a couple days and maybe a couple weeks and see if it continues. And if it does, maybe we'll make a part 2. See you later. Have a good night. And before I forget, this is going to go back in there. I don't want to have that piece of crap plug anywhere near this machine.